Welcome to Tattoo Tabletop. My name is James, and today we are diving into my recap of the Las Vegas Open. Yes, the Las Vegas Open, the one brought to you by Frontline Gaming. I went to that this last weekend, and all I can say in a summary, it was incredible. I absolutely had a blast. Everyone there was super nice. I played in the 40K Championship round of it. Spoiler alert, I did not win, and that went to somebody else that we'll cover in a little bit there. But I just want to do a little recap of the event and what I thought made it so good this year. So, again, I traveled there about Thursday, and the very first thing I went to was the Vanguard Tactics workshop. As many people know, I am a Vanguard Tactics Academy student. I did the 9th edition, I did 10th edition, and I absolutely love it. If you've ever thought about doing the Vanguard Tactics workshop at a Frontline Gaming event, let me just remove the thinking process for you and just absolutely do it. It's 100% worth, whether you're brand new to the game and this is your first tournament ever, or if you've been to countless tournaments before. I guarantee you're going to learn something completely new, and it's always nice to just kind of have a nice refresher of the rules, get a feel out of like, oh well, how's terrain going to work. It gives you some practice with player placed, just really sets you up for success. It makes a huge difference. So that's what I started with Thursday. I went to dinner with the Vanguard Tactics team as well, and that was a blast. I really enjoyed doing that. And of course, that led into some of the other aspects, but I'll dive into that right here. Like I had mentioned before, I had participated in the 40K Champs event, and there was 910 people. I believe it was one of the actual largest GTs for Las Vegas Open, and I don't mean to brag, but you're looking at Mr. 580. Yeah, no, it was... I did alright, I can't complain. I didn't get as many reps in as I probably should have, but the best part about it all, my favorite part, is I had a lot of amazing and incredible opponents. So if any of my opponents are watching this, thank you so much for giving me a good game. Every single one of you you were just delightful to interact with. We had a lot of fun. We rolled some dice, killed some models, and it was just a great time. So thank you very much for that. At the end of it all, it really made a huge difference, and it's one of the things that I absolutely love about the community as a whole. Is it's growing and it's just getting better. I had all great opponents across both days, and as all of us know who go to these kind of GTs, these tournaments, it can be long days. Your knees are sore, your feet are sore, your voice is going, you're straining, you're arching your back. It's quite an event to have to go and do, and especially to spend that long doing it. So when you just have an amazing, incredible opponent, really makes the transition so much easier. So again, thank you to every single one of you. You were all fantastic.
Today's video is sponsored by The Forge for all your hobby nerd needs. Whether it's Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Marvel Crisis Protocol, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Lorcana, and a plethora of board games, The Forge has what you need. The Forge has been my go-to shop, and the inventory has only grown. If there's something you don't see on the shelves, fill out a product request form on their website. Thank you to The Forge for sponsoring this video.
Of course, I played with Vanguard Tactics, which was very awesome. I love those guys to death. I got to hang out with them a ton, and let me just go out of my way to say congratulations to Matt Laura for winning LVO, a Vanguard Tactics coach. One LVO. So that workshop I mentioned before, if you're thinking about it, he was in that workshop. So he's got good and useful information that can absolutely help you. But that was super awesome to see the Vanguard Tactics jersey up there and to pull it off. Not to mention, I really enjoyed, I believe it was his day 2 outfit. He was wearing a Taylor Swift shirt, so just extra nice. Next up, one of my favorite parts was actually the amount of vendors. So I went to LVO last year, and they had the vendor hall. A lot of those vendors have returned. They came back for the second year. Well, not the second year, my second year. Anyway, there's a lot more vendors this time. They actually were in the hallways, and it just felt like a much larger event, which was incredible. And I got to meet a lot more vendors that I wouldn't have run into. I checked out, of course, the Games Workshop store. Big win for me was I found a free guild general on Griffin. Huge win. Again, shout out to that crew. He actually dug through a restock that they had, because he's like, I know I've seen one. Just come back. I swear I've seen one. And he had one, and it was perfect. I really appreciate it. So shout out to that team. They were absolutely fantastic. Yeah, the tabletop Titans. I got to talk to Adrian and Bridger and all of them, and they were so nice. They're so kind. Love them to death. I mean, if you for some reason you don't know who Tabletop Titans are, I'll just go check their YouTube and search up Tabletop Titans. And if you're also very interested, they also have their own Titans terrain. I got to look at it in person. It's fantastic. It offers good competitive games and a very simple storageable method. I mean, if you're like me and you're kind of tight for space, yeah, it's really going to make your life a lot easier to set up your tables. So definitely check out Titan's Terrain. But one of my favorites, one of my biggest highlights of LVO was the Army Painter. I got to talk to Sam Lentz, I got to talk to Uncle Adam, and I got to talk to Kat from the Army Painter, and my conversation with her was probably my favorite conversation this entire weekend. We had dived into how much this hobby has progressed and grown, and just the overall positives, and it was really fulfilling because I really love this hobby. I got into it late when I was about 25 years old, as some of you might know. And one of the things that I tend to bring with this channel is I want to bring positivity. The fact of the matter is we are living in a golden age of hobbies. The sculpts have never been better. The art level has never been better. The overall toxicity of events, in my opinion, has gotten a lot better. It shows in the fact that I had 5 incredible opponents. I dropped around 6 because at that point my voice was gone and I was saving what was left of it. So, but we had just gone back and forth, and she told me stories about her contributions in the past, and it was just incredible to talk to her. And on top of that, while I got to talk to her, I was painting with the new Army Painter War Paints Fanatics. And they were at the event. I was super excited because I had watched all the videos. I had seen everything that Army Painter had put out, and I was really excited. And I just remember seeing like the video where they took the black base, took the yellow, and just did the one pass, and it was done. Incredible. So I wanted to sit down and chat and check it out myself. They weren't 100% sure if it was going to be there, and it was. And spoiler alert, I loved it. It was so smooth. And even just sitting there with paintbrush, I had a little little tester paper wherever to like put it on and everything like that, and just tiny cup of water. I still absolutely loved what I painted. I was able to paint up a Space Marine that I had messed around with, and it just flowed so smoothly. The coverage was incredible. Very often when I'm testing a model with a new paint or something like that, I'll paint like the leg, the foot, or maybe the helmet, just to kind of like get a feel for it. But I sat down, I started by painting the leg, and I was like, all right, let's try this. And I just immediately enjoyed it. And I was like, well, shouldn't paint the left leg if we're not going to paint the right leg. Painted the right leg. Then the waist. Then the arms. You get where this is going. I painted the rest of this thing. But not only did I paint it with that main primary color, which their greens are so good. Loved the greens. Actually, this kind of green, out of this world. Sam Lenz actually recommended. He's like, dude, Scarab Green, check it. Blew me away. 100% accurate. But one of the things that really drove me in was the fact that I painted all that, the Scarab Green and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I can be really precise with it. It doesn't it's not so thin that it flows everywhere, but I can thin it if I want to. I can control the consistency of the paint. But I actually followed the Triad system, their Triad system, which is actually 6 paints, which is super nice. The information on their bottle is super useful. It'll say something like Verdant Greens, and will show you a little arrow of where that green, that paint bottle that you're looking at, falls within that spectrum, and you can maneuver yourself up and down on that scale to really pick out the colors that you liked. But I moved up the color from Scarab Green, from one of the base greens. I believe it wasn't part of the Verdant Greens, but it was one of the other ones. And I was able to so smoothly, like one of the things that I don't do with a lot of my Space Marines, if you ever check them out and you see them on my Instagram, link in the description down below, is I rarely ever highlight up the panels. Just for me personally, it's just, especially when I'm painting an army, it's not something that I really like dive into very often. But I was so drawn in by these paints that I decided to do it, so I started highlighting up the leg. I started highlighting up the arm, the helmet, the backpack, everything, and it was just so smooth, and it was so enjoyable. It was one of those kind of serendipitous moments. Serendipitous? Yeah, let's go with that. It was a fantastic moment where I just felt so at peace with it, and I was thoroughly enjoying what I was painting. So I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the Army Painter Fanatics. So if you have an opportunity to test them somewhere, go do it. 100% worth. Like I said, I got to meet a lot of really cool people and vendors. Adam, that was at the Army Painter table, as well as Adam from Army Painter, which one of the sweetest dudes I ever met. I really appreciated our conversation. We had a really good talk about the same things that me and Kat talked about. The positivity in the hobby and how cool everything is, and realistically, that's just something that needs to be brought to the forefront. So I really, really appreciated that. I bumped into Duncan Rhodes, which is always great. The good news is I had a very clear picture this year, because last year it came out very blurry because I was very panicked, because I'm standing next to Mr. Tooth and Coates himself, and he's so lovely. If there was one major takeaway I could take from the LVO is how incredible everybody was, whether they were a vendor, whether they were a player, whether they were a judge, whether they were an FLG staff member. Everyone was super kind, super lovely, and it just made the whole event run smoother and just made it so much better. It's one of those things where you felt the connection to everybody there. You all know that you're all there because you love these games, you love these IPs, you love these stories, you love these models, and it was just a very cohesive community that just really brought itself all together. It just made for a great event. Most of the days I was running on a very low amount of sleep. For some reason I just couldn't sleep super great, so I'd get up after 4 or 5 hours of sleep, maybe a little longer after the first day, but didn't matter. I was wide awake talking to everybody, and again, everyone was great. So if you're ever thinking about doing an FLG event, it's got some vendors, it's got any of that stuff going on for it, just absolutely worth it. Please go check them out. Lastly, final impressions. Okay. Let me just get that arranged here. You've watched this entire video now. You've been here for a second. You know how I felt. I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic front to back. It's fulfilling. That would be the word. If I was going to give this a word, it would be fulfilling. To meet all these incredible creators, these artists. I also met Marco. Can't believe I left Marco out. Marco is one of the best painters in the world. He's insanely talented. I saw what Sam Lenz was working on, well above my skill. You have these incredible creators, you have these incredible people, and they all come together for these events, and it just reflects in the hobby. It reflects in the communities. These people are incredible people. It's one of the things I think that tends to make them very successful, and a lot of them bring a very strong positive attitude to the hobby. It's more than just a necessarily positive attitude, it's a positive outlook. We are standing in that golden age of hobby, of miniatures, of games, and it's something that I try to strive and bring to every single thing. But overall, I just want to say to all my opponents, thank you for the games. To Vanguard Tactics, you guys are incredible. I can't wait for you guys to come back around. Tabletop Titans, to you people, go check out Tabletop Titans and go check out their Kickstarter on their Titans Terrain. It's absolutely incredible. Adrian Bridger everyone was so lovely. To the Army Painter team, thank you. Just thank you for your hard work and for your dedication. Absolutely incredible. Sam, thanks for being super cool. Uncle Adam, always great. Just everything was fantastic, and later I plan on diving in deeper into the Vanguard Tactics element of things, because I have a video that I want to work on coming up asking the question, do you need coaching in your Warhammer or anything like that? So we'll dive into that in a later bit, but well, nothing else to say. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I'm Tattooed Tabletop. Go paint something.